Hey guys, Kellen here again with Droid Life. It's time to talk about the Galaxy Note 8. Now, Tim's actually already done a full written review on this, so you should go check that out for the really dirty details. But there's a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about as well. And no, that doesn't mean I have cheesy bomb jokes to make. Those were cheesy and played out 11 or 12 months ago. Cheesy Note bomb joke guy. What you will find though is some thoughts on the latest in a series of phones that honestly has never really been my favorite, but this phone has so much going on that even I can admit that it's quite likable. So the phone is ginormous once again, but it's also filled with an incredible camera, incredible display, really nice performance, and of course that little S Pen. And I actually kind of like the S Pen at this point. Let's dive further into all that though. This is our Galaxy Note 8 review. To recap, the Note 8 is the follow-up to last year's Note 7, a phone that was arguably on its way to becoming the 2016 phone of the year before it was recalled. So with the Note 8, we've got a highly anticipated re-arrival, but one that also incorporates Samsung's newest design language, which means an all-display front. It's the power user phone back again, and it seems as if Samsung hardly skipped a beat after last year's debacle. So we've got a 6.3-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED Infinity display with that 2:1 ratio, Snapdragon 835 processor with 6GB RAM, 64GB storage, 3300 mAh battery, and a dual 12-megapixel setup, both of which have stabilization. The phone also features IP68 water and dust resistance, a metal and glass body, fast wired and wireless charging, and the worst placed fingerprint reader in the history of smartphones. And that's saying something because that means it topped the Galaxy S8 only months after it created this category of fingerprint terribleness. This really is a phone that has it all though, especially when you factor in the ultimate bonus, aka the S Pen. The Galaxy Note 8 costs a lot at $930 and beyond, is available from every major carrier and also as an unlocked phone. Alright, so with that background stuff out of the way, let's talk about some of the good stuff that I really do like about the Galaxy Note 8, because again, this is a series of phones that I've never really been that big of a fan of, but there is so much goodness going on that even I can't deny it. For one, this display is pretty nuts. Not only is it huge and a joy to consume content on, it's just so damn pretty to look at. From finding a fresh wallpaper to gaming to browsing the web, everything here just looks so good all of the time. The colors pop, the brightness levels are on point, there's a blue light filter for nighttime ease, and you'll have no trouble viewing this infinity magic from any angle. The performance of this phone is another positive, which is somewhat surprising since the Galaxy S8 wasn't exactly the smoothest of experiences. Samsung has clearly worked out some of the jitters from earlier this year, leaving us with a Note experience that flies through apps and transitions and into Bixby or the camera or whatever else you might throw at it. Or who knows, maybe that bump to 6GB RAM is the difference maker. Either way, this might be the best performing Samsung phone in some time. The camera is most definitely a strong point of the Note 8 as well, but that should shock no one. For the past handful of years, Samsung has been killing the mobile photography game, and they've only further cemented themselves at the top with this phone and its dual cameras with optical image stabilization. It's ultra fast to load, even quicker to snap once you hit that shutter button, and now you can zoom too thanks to the addition of a telephoto lens. So again, you've got dual 12-megapixel shooters, one standard at f1.7 along with a 12-megapixel zoom lens at f2.4. Transitioning between the two is pretty seamless, plus it allows you to reach subjects that you wouldn't typically be able to. Of course, Samsung also tossed in their live focus bokeh mode, but like most implementations from other manufacturers, theirs too is a bit of a mixed bag in terms of results and whether or not you'll think it looks natural or completely computer generated. The camera UI is solid and simple for the most part. You've got manual controls, filters, stickers, access to Bixby, 4K shooting, special shooting modes, auto HDR, etc. It's all there to give you one of the most powerful camera experiences in a smartphone. And look, the results are great. We're talking bold pictures with great detail, processing that isn't excessive or obnoxious, acceptable results in low light, excellent results in good light, and a peace of mind to know that you can rely on this camera at all times. As for battery life, I'd have to give this phone an average to decent score. It's not that the battery life is bad with that 3300 mAh cell, but it won't get you beyond a single day. I'm typically seeing 3 to 4 hours of screen on time and potentially needing a charger by the late evening. Again, I just call that average, not necessarily great. With the Note 8's S Pen, I found a tool that I actually enjoy using on most days. I've used it to make not safe for work live messages for Twitter, get some adult coloring book time in, make an animated GIF or two, doodle on screenshots, and even play some games. I haven't taken a single note with it because handwriting anything in 2017 brings instant pain to my virtual keyboard obsessed fingers, but I do fully appreciate the power of the S Pen at this point. Like, I really do use it almost every day for something, not just because I'm trying to test and figure things out. That's kind of a big deal for me. Finally, and I can't believe I'm admitting this, but Samsung's software is no longer a disaster. The Samsung experience is a decent mix at this point of too much stuff and not enough. You have settings you can tweak to really make this the ultimate custom phone, or you could just let it all happen without much fuss. That's a good balance because Note users are often power users that want control, yet there are others who might be interested that don't want to be overwhelmed. I think Samsung is starting to find a good balance of making their Galaxy phones approachable yet still advanced. But as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of stuff about this phone I don't necessarily love. Like, the size is a bit much, and the in-hand feel just doesn't come off all that natural. The fingerprint reader placement is embarrassing, and the price is, well, it's a lot to stomach even for what you get. You guys have listened to me for years complain about phones that are too damn big, and I think this is one of them. What's odd about that statement is the fact that the Galaxy S8 Plus doesn't at all come off as being big to me, yet it's very similar in size to this guy. I think the problem lies within the squared off design of the Note 8 that makes it feel much too tall and also uncomfortable in the hand to hold. The S8 and S8 Plus have these really great curves that allow each phone to settle gently in your hand, while the Note 8 always feels to me like it's stabbing my palm. Plus, I feel like I'm constantly having to one hand shimmy up the side. It's square or rectangular and tall and awkward. Now, you may not have any of these feelings with this phone in hand, just keep that in mind. As for the fingerprint reader placement, I'm suggesting that you probably get used to using some other form of security on the Note 8 should you buy one. And that's because you'll never ever be able to reach this poorly located thing. I end up using smart lock and facial recognition, which I don't like either, or just enter my pattern, which is faster than fumbling around on the back of this phone. If Samsung is trying to turn us off of fingerprint readers so they can copy Apple by killing them, they are doing a pretty good job of it. I also mentioned price as being a tough one to swallow, and I say that because you can get a Galaxy S8 Plus for much cheaper, assuming you don't really need that S Pen. In the end, the S Pen, some RAM, and a second camera are really the only differences, yet we're looking at a price tag that's closing in on $1,000. Are those upgrades enough justification for that jump? Well, I guess that's up to you to decide, but I know I'm struggling to want to fork out that kind of cash for a smartphone. If anything, just be sure you have a trade-in ready to go to cut down on the chances of your bank account being emptied. And last though, this isn't really a negative thing, but I wanted to point out that I haven't discussed Samsung's Bixby Assistant at all on the Note 8. And yes, it is here. So I don't consider Bixby's inclusion to necessarily be a bad thing. I just thought you should know that it hasn't been mentioned because I've got little use for it. Sure, it's a powerful tool. It just strikes me more as an accessibility feature for those who need to speak to their phone on a regular basis. And what I'm saying there is that it's not quick enough or intuitive enough to get me to stop from just reaching over and completing tasks by picking up my phone. In the end, Bixby can do a lot of stuff, but there's a whole bunch of learning to be done around it, followed by an assessment over whether or not I'll save any time at all. And so that's it for the Galaxy Note 8. To me, this is a phone that's going to make a whole bunch of Note fans really happy. In fact, this is 100% the follow-up to the Note 7 that Samsung needed to make. You've got a great camera, great performance, all the specs you could ask for, and an S Pen on board. So while this may not be the phone for me because of size and price, that does not mean you should not be strongly considering this phone. By all means, the Note 8 is a champ.